Good morning, guys. All I can hear is like acorns and fruit falling from trees or seed pods. Oh, look at that leaf doing a beautiful ta-da! I fell to the ground, and as you can see, we have got autumn leaves falling everywhere. The sun's out, which is beautiful, but it is actually very cold, and I need to be careful where I'm walking and watching what I'm doing, because there's acorns and seed pods and kernels all over the floor, and they can make it rather uncomfortable. Do you know, if you just stand still, and look, you can actually see leaves just dancing their way to the ground. It's so beautiful. Right, let's do the time. I'm at Wayne Bodywood. I was going to take you somewhere else, but here's the best place, really. 9:20, and it's Sunday. Up at Canley Ford, where I was intending to go, they have released some cows into the field, the meadow, which means, there we go. Can you hear it? Which means that you have to put your dogs on leads, which I don't like doing, so I've come here instead. And I was going to continue with Obama's speech on Syria. However, something else has rattled my cage. Oh, look at it. It's like all the leaves just dancing and forth. Look at it, it's beautiful. Yeah, something else rattled my cage. And I know sometimes I get new subscribers. It's not very often, but I'm up to 100 now. Ooh-ee. Not that I think 100 actually ever watch these videos. In fact, I know they don't, but I'd like to say hello to anybody new and give a little recap. I have 17 grandchildren, I think, and 3 great-grandchildren. I have 4 children of my own. I did have 5 children. Sadly, one of my daughters died at a very early age, 4 months, from the whatever it is. I think it's all to do with inoculations myself, cover-up, which is called cot death, or sudden infant death syndrome, or any road up. And I spend a lot of time with my grandchildren. 6 of my grandchildren, I had a break of over 5 years from one of my daughters, Catherine, Cat, and when we were still communicating, she had 3 children, and then when we got back together again, she had 6, and I met the 6 children as a family for the first time. I think it was about this time last year. So I've had a most wonderful year with Catherine's children. We've gone on plenty of adventures, which I kind of videoed on Arrgghhhhhh. Look at the speed that those are going, whatever those might be. They might be real clouds. The other stuff underneath is crap, really. Yeah, so there we go, it's gone. Isn't that amazing? That whole cloud just off it went. It says, yo, I'm off to yeah, so I videoed a lot of it for Orgasmic, and I've also done some of our adventures here on Barefoot Sun gave us, you know, walk in the woods and things like that. And I've also done lots of videos. Oh look, a deceiver. I've also done lots of videos of me and Alfie. They're normally called Granny Time. Hello, you deceiver, you. What are you? I don't believe for one moment it's what they tell us it is. Alfie has just started school, and those of you who followed my videos and have seen Alfie will realise that he is a really delightful, very imaginative young boy. And he is just adorable. He, you know, he's just adorable. But it was obvious to all of my family, maybe apart from Hannah, his mother, that he was going to be labelled because, you know, he goes into a world of his own fantasy world. He sees a world that we don't see. And bring your ball, honey. She says you didn't even notice I'd lost it. He's just the most lovely child, very, very skilled, but has this incredible imagination where he doesn't actually require anybody to play with him, because his world is full of his friends, his guys, his shadow. He loves his shadow. And Alfie has never, to my knowledge, done anything labelled naughty, whatever naughty actually means, because I don't know what naughty means. Most of the time we are giving the instructions in a manner that we don't understand for the child to do exactly what we don't want them to do. That's all to do with negatives and the fact that our fairy godmother, our internal being, our inner guide, has no idea what a negative is, so it removes the negatives. Thus, if you say don't spill the milk, it hears do spill the milk and spills the milk. When you say don't look now, what we hear internally is look now, and so you immediately look. Anyway, so it's more down to the way that we communicate with children, and not that children are being naughty. I really don't like that word. And it has been, look at the light, isn't that just beautiful? And as many of you will also know, I come from what's called an autistic family. Yeah, what a load of bollocks, eh? That's probably my Tourette's. Get your ball, honey. So many of my children have been labelled with ASD, autistic spectrum disorder, in varying degrees, and Faye and I, God, many years ago now, actually went to CAMS, which is a special unit, to attend their autism programme, and in the process it was decided that I was autistic. Apparently my father was autistic, my mother's autistic, one of my brothers and probably one of my sisters, and this is just by us talking to them, you know what I mean. And the outcome of the meeting, or of attending this whole programme, which lasted for weeks and weeks and weeks, was they asked Faye to go and speak to them, my daughter. They wanted to talk to her, and they actually suggested, Faye has 6 sons, no daughters, they actually suggested that the best thing Faye could do was to have all of her boys sterilised. Yep. Oh, that includes top student, by the way. Tyler, who has the, well, a lot of labels attached to him. Yeah. Anyway, that I have to say all of this to just fill in a bit of background. Sorry for those who've heard it all before. So, autism is something that I can understand from my own childhood, how the teachers saw me as naughty, and how they saw me as difficult and challenging and all the rest of it, and why they didn't actually have a special educational unit then. So I used to be shut in a house room on my own and just told to write essays. I wasn't allowed into maths, history, geography, and it just went on until I wasn't really allowed in anything. So I was given solitary confinement. Yes, and I've told people about that before as well. Anyway, so my son, James Robert, Jim Bob, he really suffered quite badly at school, and he ended up being removed from my care and put into a special educational unit, which was residential, and they kind of, in that school they had one teacher to one pupil, and I wasn't allowed to see him. He had to earn his rights home, and the thing is that they didn't know how to talk to autistic children. They had no idea what language to use, so of course my son's home visits were generally cancelled because, you know, he just did what they didn't want him to do. You know, one day I hope these people understand. I really, really do, because they are messing with the lives of children. Not just children, my life too. You know, I hated the fact that he was removed from me. You know, I didn't know what they were doing to him, and, you know, when I did see him, he'd get upset and say, "Please, Mum, please just let me come home." Get your ball, good girl. So it looks like we're going this way. Something down there's obviously spooked Abby, so. Right, so that's the background. I went to see Hannah the other day, and she was a little upset. And I said to her, I said, "Hannah, what's the matter?" So she says, "Oh, Alfie in school." No, he's only been in school a bloody week and a half. You know, and the first of that was like half days. So she said, "I went to pick him up from school the other day, and they said to me, could they have a word?" She said, "So, you know, you kind of, it's quite embarrassing in front of all the other mums." And I can understand that too, because, well, I just can. It's like the school playground. You want to fit in with all the other mothers, and everybody's hoping that it won't be their Jack or Johnny or Giles that is the one kind of pointed out and identified as the naughty one, because the mother is asked to stay behind after everyone else has gone. Well, anyway, the upshot of this was that the teacher said to Hannah, we had to give Alfie a yellow card. Now, a yellow card generally stops negative behaviour. However, we ended up having to give him a red card as well. I mean, yellow cards, red cards, what the fuck are they doing? So Hannah said, why? You know, she said her chin was wobbling. You know, and I can imagine that, because when people are wearing the badge of teacher, you know, they sort of carry it through with the parents. Yeah, I'm the teacher, so just listen to me, bloody urchin. So Hannah kind of said, well, what did he do? And the teacher looked at her as if to say, well, it doesn't really matter what he did, because, you know, I'm telling you. That she said, he was very naughty. So Hannah said, well, what did he do? He wouldn't listen, he didn't come, he wouldn't line up. He refused to turn round when I asked him to. And so on. So that basically earned him a yellow card and a red card, and he has now been called naughty. And the treat that Hannah had for him that night, he didn't get, because she said, how could I give it to him and reward his bad behaviour? Now the first thing is, when Alfie, he isn't like other children. We knew that this was going to happen just by observing his behaviour and recognising that it was so similar to lots of other children in our family. He didn't speak very early. He would engage him. He didn't need anyone to play. He is always constantly surrounded by friends that we can't see. He sees things that we don't see. His imagination is absolutely phenomenal, if indeed it is his frigging imagination, and not the fact that whatever they numb the rest of us with, so that we forget how to be telepathic, we forget telekinesis, we forget that we can see beyond what we believe we can see here. You know, Alfie, well, I've always kind of encouraged his individuality, as I have with all of my grandchildren. Maybe I didn't notice it so much when I was a mum, but I think that's because you're so under scrutiny, and especially if you were a young mum like me, you know, you basically think, well, even though that doesn't work, I better do it because someone in a white coat or someone with a big badge saying I'm fucking better than you and more intelligent has told me to. So Hannah said, the teacher, you know, said all the class, the whistle was blown or whatever. Yeah, Pavlov's dogs. And all the children, when the whistle goes, line up in their little lines to go into the classroom. And she said, and he just carried on playing. And Hannah said, she said it in a real kind of nah kind of way, which makes it seem all the worse, you know what I mean? Body language, use of words, spells and emphasis, all of which are in Obama's speech as well. Ho-ho, thank you. So, and then basically, later on, he was hiding. Well, Alfie loves hiding. I love hiding. I used to run off and hide all the time, and I can see things he does in his behaviour that I did in mine and that my children did in theirs, and even my dad did. So anyway, now the teacher said to Hannah, I have 31 children, other children in this class, and I do not want them to be held back by bad behaviour and naughty behaviour, as Alfie seems to do. So he's gone straight into the education system, and within 2 weeks, it was 1.5 bloody weeks, and like I said, it was on his second full day. They have decided he's naughty. I really don't want to swear, but you know what, I feel like just going crazy about it. I really wanted to go up to the school and just sit down with this teacher and just say, look, if 31 children is a problem, maybe you shouldn't be doing the job you're doing, or teachers should all, you know, if it's kind of a universal problem and not just your individual inability to cope in a classroom, then you need to complain to the government or to your union or something. Don't dump it all on my grandson. I've got 31 of the children, therefore I haven't got time to deal with his behavioural problems. He doesn't have behavioural problems. You have lack of knowledge over children's lack of knowledge and understanding and awareness about what children are actually doing and what you're actually doing to them by being a teacher. So it's the same old story. You know, Levi went to a special educational school. Bloody Tyler went to a special educational school. Richard did. You know, I could just go through them all. It's just bloody ridiculous. And now here we have Alfie, who has been labelled naughty, been given yellow cards and red cards, and while all the other... And you know what? Other kids get badges, and do you know what it says on these badges? I am perfect. So if you do exactly what the teacher wants, you are perfect. And, you know, you get this lovely shiny badge to wear, and you can go home with it, and, you know, your parents will probably look at it so proudly. Oh, what a good boy you've been, Giles. You're perfect. Well, the child was perfect before. It doesn't need a bloody teacher to point out that because your child can be programmed really, really easily and make life quite nice for her, that they get an I am perfect badge. And why can't we give yellow cards and red cards to these bloody teachers? Because I tell you what, I feel like going up and giving her one. Oh, sorry, guys. Because the other end of the scale is Catherine's children, who have all gone to live in Wales. And they rang me the other day, the children did, to speak to me. And Summer is just ecstatic. She loves it. There are only 2 classes in this school. There are 26 pupils in this school. And so Summer, Noah and Shania are all in the same class, but at different levels and doing different, you know, kind of abilities or standards or whatever. And Summer just says it's just wonderful because you can ask questions and the teachers don't mind. Oh, close the fucking school down then. What do you mean the kids can ask questions? God, must be a right old bloody backward school that. Don't allow the children to ask bloody questions. What are you playing at? Oh dear. And she said, you know, we can ask questions and it's okay. And she said, and they don't mind when you don't get it right. I can't talk. It just gets me so stressed with disbelief. So anyway, Noah is really happy too. And then Shania spoke to me and she says, Granny, on my first day it was lovely because I went to school and they gave me a best friend, which I thought was lovely. They gave her a little girl her own age to kind of show around, and she decided it's her best friend. The children learn a lot through play, and they have one teacher in the class, but they have a lot of teaching assistants, and often they are parents or grandparents in the village who actually support the children with their learning. Go and get your ball, honey. I guess I've just rambled on, haven't I, really, today? But, you know, it just so gets me, because this has happened with my other grandsons. They've been perfectly fine until they go to school. And the moment they go to school, you know, they get labelled with all these negatives. I mean, if all the other children are perfect, what do you think Alfie is picking up from the fact he doesn't have a I am perfect badge? Oh, the inner animal wants to go and gorge myself on the teacher. Anyway, and the fact that as well, you know, Hannah felt she couldn't give Alfie what she had got for him that evening because he'd been naughty. And she actually said, you know, Alfie, you've been a naughty boy. Hannah, don't. Don't say, Hannah, he hasn't. He hasn't, honestly. Oh, Ray, I don't blame you for homeschooling. Honestly, I don't. The true Ray's homeschooling her 3 adopted grandchildren. children, who are really her grandchildren. And I just think, Ray, you're a star, honestly, such a star, because you know Alfie, Ray. You know, you've watched him grow with his gruffalos and his, you know, dragons, and look at the lovely flowers, Granny, and taking photographs, and now he's naughty. And the thing is, he's not going to lose that label. It was the same as me, my first day in my senior school, which I've told you about before. I was labelled that first day, and believe me, it followed me all the way through, right into my, you know, solitary confinement and isolation rooms that I was sent into. Autism is so misunderstood. Seriously, go and get your ball, honey. So misunderstood. And it just frightens me what's going on. Anyway, I'm going to have to go because I've just rabbited on. There's been no structure to this at all. I've just let my feelings flow and my thoughts flow. I shall probably come back and talk about this again, because this is one of my real... Okay, so look, they're collecting the wood now here. We haven't had water in this for I don't know how long, guys. The stream has just dried up, but they're making the wood stacks now, and they'll be great for different wildlife. Will just love it in those bundles and bunches. Right, so keep looking up, guys. There's a beautiful sun up there today, even though it is a cold autumn morning, and it's wonderful to be here to see the dance of the leaves as they fall to earth to produce the next layer of wonderful, wonderful soil on this beautiful earth. And remember to enjoy life, live it. Because that's exactly why we're here. And I'll talk about it more another time. I'm too full of bad words to continue any longer. I would just let out a stream of them and say, do you know what I mean, guys? So I love you all, and from Honey, who's over there, and Ebby, who's there, and my feet, and the beautiful Wayne Body Wood with its dancing trees and singing birds, it's goodbye. Bye.